Hi guys, welcome back to another video. This video will be part 2 of the e36 m57d30 engine. So in this video we're going to cover making a gearbox mount, making a prop shaft, making a gear linkage, how we've sat the engine in the hole. You guys know how to do the wiring because you've already watched part 1, apparently. If you're already here then you've watched part 1 sort of thing. How we've sat the engine in the hole. I also have, and obviously what I've done with water pipes and boost pipes, but we'll get to that. So I also have one of these engines lying on the floor over here. So I'm going to take you over there and show you what we do before we put the engine anywhere near the hole, and then we'll continue on for there. So let's go. Right, so we're at this other spare engine that I have. So when you take out the E46, this was an auto, right, but it's got a manual box in it. So when you take out the E46, it's going to have all this gubbins on it, right? So if you just delete this, it's just like a water heater kind of thing. So you need to delete this pump, take this live off the starter, and at this point, this is where you would put your own starter cable on it. If you have battery in the boot, use your old e36 loom to bring your live cable across so it's got its constant live. If you have battery in the engine bay, you do the same as I've done and use your 1.8 battery cable and just put it on here and do away with this big long one. So you're going to just follow, here we go, you're literally just going to take this pipe off here and then this part just goes away. So when we go to an E36, you've got to have one pipe into heater matrix and you can trim this one down and that's heater matrix pipe 2, so that takes care of itself. While we're here, obviously when the engine's out, this is the point when you want to do lots of refresh points, water pump, thermostat, EGR delete, inlet manifold gaskets, all your vacuum pipes under the inlet manifold, and while you're there, you're going to remove this 2-pin temp sensor and change it for a 4-pin as per the last wiring video. Also you will get that out of your E36. So this is a 2-pin temp sensor, so on your E36 one it's a 4-pin temp sensor, so 2 wires tell the ECU the temp and the 2 tell your clocks the temp in the E36, and that keeps that happy. Right, so moving on, I put my engine in. I've been doing, well, like after the wiring video, I've basically been mocking stuff up, so this video can be fairly fast, okay? And what I found was in my engine bay, my fan was going to be too tight against the rad. 2 seconds to move this camera. So I've went and looked at a couple of subframes. Should do the new, make this a bit quick. I went and compared a couple of subframes, an E36 versus an E46, and figured something out. So I've already moved my engine, so I'm pretty happy with it. But if you look here, you can see the water pump, right? When my engine was first sat in the hole, I had, you know how I said about the vacuums. This is a E46 330D mount, right? So the vacuum. In the last one that I done, I pointed the vacuums straight back, so the engine sat far back. It does sit back further than it should in an E46, right? But for this, it seemed to not be far enough, but we'll run through that in a minute. So when I offered up this fan the first time to say, would that even go in there? Like, that's okay and that's tight. There's like maybe 5mm here, but it's fine, it's not gone anywhere. But when I first offered this up, the bolt was actually covered in the water pump. I'm not sure if the water pump's a little deeper on a 6-speed versus a 5-speed, but so I've had to then shuffle the engine again. So I'm going to show you the difference in the subframes right now, but I'm going to stop this video here and we'll start again across here on the floor. Okay, so here on the right we have an E46 subframe, right, which is the original place for this to go. So this is where I got the vacuums face back away onto the E36, right? So you put that in there, it locates itself and boom, right? But if you look along here, by the time you're at the side of that bolt, you're pretty much in line with this, okay? If I put these subframes identically together, so by the time you cut this off and put it facing back the way in here, it's not enough. So I'm going to just, what I usually do is just grind this off, right? So I'm going to do that quickly. So I always grind these off because it's never going to locate in a 36 like that. So when you put this into a 36 with the vacuum facing back, you'll notice that there is a difference here. So this is what made my fan be tight to the rad inside the engine bay. So what I've then done, I've had a look at it. So where this bolt goes when you spin it round, if you notice, when the vacuum is actually faced forward on this one, it takes it back to be further back than that. Watch the rotation of this versus that. So there's vacuum back, that's engine forward. If the vacuum is forward, that's engine back. That's what I had to go and do for this to readjust it, because it wasn't right to me. I'm actually glad I checked it before I started doing anything else, because if you start building around it and realise the fan can't fit at the end, your gearbox mount is going to be wrong, your gear linkage has got to be wrong, because everything is going to be adjusted back. So there's maybe 10 mil in that or something. 10 mil's a lot when you need space for a fan though. So that's that part covered. Next, I have a gearbox mount set up, half ready to weld. Like I said, I've been mocking stuff up, so I'm not wasting you guys' time. I know it's took a lot of time for to do this, but I'm not wasting your time and holding you guys here for eternity. So let's go across and I'll set up the gearbox mount. Well, it's actually set up, but we'll go and talk you through what I've done and we'll weld it up. So what I've done here, I have the box sitting at a height, okay? I've took a spirit level to the bottom of the sump, right? It's not perfectly flat, but I'm not looking for flat, I'm looking for roughly flat, right? And bearing in mind, once this is off and we have this on our mount, it's going to sag down at the back a little anyway, which is then going to kind of bring us to level. When I first put this on, it was like the bubbles are way at that side. Hopefully you guys can see the bubble. So we're basically going to make this gearbox mount, let it hang on its own, and it's going to sit roughly level, which is going to give us space between the top of the tunnel and the gearbox as well. So let's just quickly move this into the back here. Right, so if you know e36s, you know, like when you get if you go for a 1.8, you use the front 2 bolt holes. If it's like a 2.8, you use the back 2 bolt holes. Well, when we go GIZ and we go diesel, we just make a metal plate and you use 3 of these bolts. It makes it stronger. And what you can see here is this is the height the gearbox needs to be at. That's perfect for me. Okay, so what I've done is, you see this alloy bracket goes along here, right? So I've had to do this in every 6-speed, even when I put a 320D 6-speed into a TDS and a 325i, I've had to do this same thing, is cut this part of the bracket off. If I didn't cut this bracket off, basically, we'd be making a mount below the actual chassis, you know what I mean? So it'd be too low if you ask me. So I've made a plate to bolt to there, a bit of angle iron for the company here, a bit of angle iron for the company there, and this can still be swung about because I've still to weld it to here. So this was me just setting stuff up. So basically going to make sure I'm happy with that. I'm going to tack that there, and I've got to weld that. Make sure I'm happy with that, I'm going to tack that there and weld all that. And then after that, we're going to trim down this piece and just make a bridge between the middle here, like so. We're just going to bridge that and weld that up. Obviously I'll trim it to shape so it fits in nice, but it was just roughly, and I've cleaned up the bit of metal on that. So I think I'm going to break out the welder, tack that to that, weld that. I'll take it all off and weld it. I'll put a wee 45 on each side of them. I'll put it all back up and I'll trim this to suit and then weld that up, and then we can move on to show you what I've done with the prop shaft. So let me break out the welder, but I'll probably just time lapse the welding part. I don't think I'm going to weld it all in place like that, but I'll tack it, take it off and weld it. I'll put it back on and I'll tack this part on, take it off and weld it. Right, so I need to set up the welder. Give me 2 seconds. Right, so while the mount is cooling down, we'll talk prop shaft, right? So here we have an e36 330d prop. This is from a 6-speed, right? I'm sure the front half is all the same, it's different in the back half, right? So I've basically went ahead and here's my one here. I pretty much have it made up. Like I said, I've spent some time prepping stuff so that I'm not holding you guys here too long. So I basically took this prop shaft and cut this part off it, right? Leaving this full part here. But since going back and getting some measurements and stuff like that, when I first done the 5-speed one, right, so this is your original E36 prop. So this is, we're trying to put this on the back of here. So when I went to try and use an E36 prop for this, the part that I want to slide away inside here ends up too far down. So I went and found a 46 prop, which had this part on it, which I've cut off, and it's the same diameter, so it will slide inside this prop. Right, it slides inside, but yes, it does have movement, right? But we have a cure for that. So I basically leave it long to start with until you get yourself a length. So you want to cut it there just away from where it steps down. Your E36 prop shaft is going to slide inside there. However, it is going to waggle around, right? So you've got to take a bit of tin, 1mm tin, take a measurement of the diameter of that, the diameter of this one, because that's going to technically go around that, and it's going to take up the play by the time it goes inside here. And I always say, if you can make your square plate, if you make a plate like that, but you need to make it the length that you have here, so the further you slide that inside there, the more chance it has of being true. Right, so I already have mines in here. What I'll do at the end, I'll make sure I chisel this down, so I don't want to weld that tin, I just want to weld prop to prop, so that's going to get chiseled further down. But I still need to correct my length. I think it needs to still be a little shorter for me, so you just tap it in, get yourself a length, and come back and weld it. So what I did was I cut this. I was going to cut that, but by the time I took this up and put it in the car and then took a look at this, by the time the prop shaft was going to be X length, look, that was going to be a way inside there, and I was going to have to fill that with weld, and I was like, no. So I went and got an E46 prop shaft, which is the same diameter as that, just to use this flange, because that's the flange that we're using on the 36. So that's how that one, just luckily I had a prop shaft there. I have a shelf full of prop shafts, so yeah, this is the old UG off that, we're not going to use that. This is the original prop just to show you what it's like before you make a cut. So I'm pretty sure I cut it really long, and then by the time I went and got this part, I actually trimmed another part off of this. So we'll put that to the side now. So I'm just waiting for my gearbox mount to cool down, and then we can put it on the car, get a length and bring it off, and then just weld it. I've done 2 or 3 prop shafts like this. I've never had a vibration ever. My Jai's Ed had one, the same prop shaft. A 184 330D had this prop shaft. My mate's got the same prop shaft. Like, it's a commonly done thing. If you're not sure about doing this, give it to a prop shaft guy. But I can assure you, by the time you put this tin down inside there, if you can make that tin fill this full gap here, the further, like technically the further you slide that in, there's no chance of it being off. You know what I mean? So it's going to be true. So that part's going to sort itself if you're confident in doing that. If no, fair enough. But I'll try anything before I pay somebody for it, basically. And this is what's got me to where I am today. So that's what's led me to be good with wiring, good with welding, blah blah blah. So my gearbox mount should nearly be cool, so we can go onto the car. We'll make sure we'll test fit this and see what it's like. If we need to chap it together, we'll chap it together. If no, we'll bring it off and we'll weld it up, and then that's that part ready. We can move on to the gear linkage. Right, so gearbox is hanging on the mount itself. As you can see, there's no stand anymore. Put the spirit level on here. Not perfectly flat, but it's also not tipped away up. There's a wee tiny bit in it. However, it's hanging itself. It's not too high, it's not too low. It's where it needs to be. The sump's level enough that it's not getting too much oil further back or whatever. The oil's sitting level in the pan. So now we're going to come across, I'll set this up so you can see. Now we're going to get a length for a prop shaft. The length of this prop shaft is pretty much not bad already. I did give it a quick check there and give it a knock together. I'll quickly take this down. It has started raining as well, but hopefully you don't pick up on this mic. Right. Put him on here first. With most other e36 props, there's always a small gap here. And if I was to show you inside of here, basically where my finger, that's my finger going over the edge, so technically there's only that much. There's only that much teeth in there anyway. So, there. We only need that much. Just get on that a bit further on. No chopper. Right, so now I'm going to insert my prop shaft in my e36. And then offer it up to the gearbox. Put my two nuts back in there. Right, so I'm going to hold this part of the prop shaft and just hit this forward. That's going to take me back out of there. I think I'm going to go with that. So when I take it back off, I'm just going to knock this bit of tint down, weld right round it, and that's the prop shaft done. Look, does it look like it's got miles off? Looks straight to me. Then that's one prop shaft done. I'm going to pull this back off, go take the chisel and chisel that down, and I'm going to weld right round that, and that's prop shaft done. Then we can move on to gear linkage. So let me get this off and on the floor and we'll get welded. Right, so we're on the floor. Like I says, right, because I've had to open it back up, it's pulled my bit of tin out, so I'm going to chap that down. I do not want to weld the tin. I want to know that I'm welding just prop shaft. It doesn't matter if you weld the tin, to be fair, but I'd rather not see the tin. Okay, now I've got to weld this. One prop shaft. The reason I done it in, obviously, kind of done it like a couple of settings and stop, a couple of settings and stop, because if I go around it too fast and I blow a hole in it, it's tits up if you blow a hole in it, basically, I would say. And there we go, one prop shaft. Obviously to bolt it in and stuff like that, but I'm happy with the length of the prop shaft, so I'm actually going to take the prop shaft off and the gearbox guibo off for to then go make the gearbox mount, the gear linkage, just so I've got maximum space, and it's going to be like 3 inch long. Like the gear linkage is like technically going to be that long. So I'd rather get all the space taken about it than wrestle around the prop shaft and that bit. So when I'm finished today, I think I'm going to make the gear linkage. I'm going to stop filming for the day. I'm going to go and paint my gearbox mount and stuff like that. When I come back tomorrow, we'll start tackling the rest of the stuff, like water pipes and stuff like that. So you would not do a water pipe when the gearbox was not mounted correctly, because the water pipes are that tight as it is, that if you do it before you do the gearbox mount, it's going to cause an issue later. Once you do the gearbox mount, you're going to pull the pipe off, and you've got to make it flex or kink up or something like that. So that's why I'm saying that. So I'm going to stop this part of the video right now, and I'm going to go and take all this stuff off that I just put on. I'm going to take the prop shaft off and the gearbox rubber, the rubber donut, so I can get access to the actual gear linkage itself, and then we'll show you how to make a gear linkage. Right, so we're down to gear linkage here. It's probably got to be hard for both of us to get in here, right? But you need, most important thing, Right, obviously you need to use a chassis shifter with this because you need to be God if you're going to get e36 gear linkage to work with this, right? So you need this here to be, like, see this circle, you need that to be central in that circle, so that's neutral. Basically this, if you find the centre of the centre in this, that's neutral on the stick, right? We know it's in neutral here because we can spin the gearbox, so from here to here I can fit 3 fingers between there and there, so I need the linkage to be on finger 4 and finger 5 kind of thing, so that's the kind of length that we're working with. So I'll take you over to the bench and show you how I make a custom gear linkage. I usually just make it temporarily adjustable and then adjust it on the car, take it off, lock the both pins straight and then weld it up. But we'll see how we go with that because it's got to be really short. So let's go over to the bench and we'll cut up a gear linkage. Right, so here we have just a random e36 gear linkage, right, but we basically need these 2 pins to be like four fingers apart, like obviously that's to be the pin, and on the other one that's to be the pin, so we've got to shorten it down. Try and make it temporarily adjustable like I usually do with them, so I'm going to trim this one right now to, I think I'm going to go with about here somewhere. And also just kind of checking that it's actually flush, like flat. So another neat trick, if you use a, like an E12 sits in there nice. So then you get to put that in there and weld that, and then you would have, with the length of this bolt, you would have, what's that, 20mm adjustment. So, but you've got to leave enough in there that this bit of the bolt can go inside the pipe to give you that adjustment. Then at the end we're just going to take it off, put these 2 pins in the vise so they're both, like, that's the most important part of this linkage, that these 2 pins are in line or it's going to throw your gears off. I need to quickly, I think I'll weld this quickly. Then what I usually do, I usually weld the nut to the other side once I get a length that I'm happy with. I usually weld the nut to the other side, and then you can put it on the car, you can twist it together until it goes to the right length, and then take it off and weld it up. So I think I'll go ahead and I'll go and weld this part on the new. Then I will jump back to the car for a minute, but I'm not going to take you guys here, I'm just going to go myself just to say I need that to be this long, and it should, within that amount of adjustment, we should manage to make that. So right now I'm going to just weld this, then I'll jump back to the car in a minute. Probably should have turned the welder down for that, but whatever. So we'll have to flap a bit of that back, but we have this in, so if I go back to the car and line this up beside that to say within 20mm I can make that work, and I'll come back, I'll weld the nut to this side, to whatever I've trimmed down here, and then I'll put it back on the car, twist it together till it looks like it's central, like in neutral, and then bring it back off. Lock these two pins in the vise straight, and then weld. And then that's that. So I'm going to cut for a second until I get my length for here. I'll come back, weld that, and then I'll go back to the car. Right, so that didn't quite work how I wanted it to work, because what I ended up with by the time I took this to the car was there's no space for that thread to go inside there. So I've been to the car, this is the right length that I need it. So what I'm going to do, I've stuffed that inside there. What I've actually had to taper this part down here, because by the time you go in there, this pipe is squeezed down. By the time you go in there, so I've put the taper just so it hangs. So what I need to do now is, if you look along it, these two pins need to be bang in line. See, they're not in line right now, but from what side's the camera? You want to be able to look along this and it's like straight. Look, that's not straight, so they need to be bang on straight. So what I want to do here is slip it in the vise. And tighten it up. Right, they're straight. So I'm going to go ahead and weld that, and it should be the right length for the car now. I will just tack it, then I'll take it off, put it on the floor, and I'll weld it properly. Yeah, usually I make these adjustable, but when it gets to this length, it's like, how are you supposed to make that adjustable? There's like no room to play with. Yeah, straight. That's what I'm looking for. Just say it to be straight. It's like the most important thing here is these two being straight. In 1 second, I'm going to take this outside and put it in a puddle. One gear linkage. I will flap this back a bit and tidy it up, right, but I'm going to go and sit it on the car and show you guys how it sits. Now, like I says, the pins bang on in line is what you want. That's why you always lock them in a vise. And if it turns out that your linkage is longer than the vise, I usually use a bit of flat bar here, both sides, and then just clamp it down. Then you can look along it and see that it's true, and then go for there. 2 seconds, I'll put this on the car, then I'll take you over the car. So here we are on the car. Sorry, no phone stand, just me this time. It's tight to get both of us in here. But as you can see, the gear linkage here is in the centre of the centre. Alright? So neutral, like bang in the centre. If you get this off a little, it'll either, if it's too long, it'll look like it's in third gear when it's in neutral. When you go for third gear, you'll punch the stereo. So it's important to get this bit central. Alright? So I'm going to take it off, clean it up, I'll paint it black, and I'll be sure to put grease on the pins before I put them back in. But at this point anyway, I'm going to strip the gearbox mount, this other mount, I'm going to paint everything, and I'm going to come back tomorrow, fit this stuff, fit the prop shaft. I've painted the prop shaft. Prop shaft's sitting there with a coat of paint on it. I'll come back tomorrow and we'll start by doing power steering pipes, this bottom boost pipe, and working up the way. We've got to make a water pipe to go from here to here. And then we'll just work from bottom to the top. So I'm going to go ahead, tidy up my stuff, take my mounts off, give them a coat of primer and a coat of paint before I go home so they're actually dry for tomorrow, and we'll just continue on tomorrow. So see you guys in the morning. Good morning guys, we are back. As you can see here, I have painted gearbox mount, painted the other gearbox mount, I have a painted prop shaft here, and up here I have my painted gear linkage, which I have already greased, and I've ran sandpaper around here so that it doesn't get basically if you don't grease these pins, they can seize up and it's hard to get gears, so always grease the pins. You might say it's not the prettiest, but I guarantee it's going to work. So we're going to jump straight in here and we're going to fit the gear linkage first, then this small gearbox mount, and then fit the gearbox donut for the prop shaft. Then we'll fit the prop shaft, and then we will fit the gearbox mount. After that, I'll just time lapse this bit, so obviously I'm trying not to keep you guys here too long, and then we'll start with the bottom of the power steering pipes, then we'll do this bottom water pipe, then we'll do this bottom intercooler pipe, and then move to the top. So let's just get straight into it. I'll go and set the camera up underneath the car, and we'll just time lapse this next bit. Just I don't want the video to be too long for you guys. So here we have gearbox mounts on, shifter linkage on, prop shaft is on, all tightened up. This bolt all tightened up, and as you can see, that's like the kind of, you know, the spacing that's left on a stock e36 prop. You can always see a bit of the spline. So yeah, now we can move on. We'll do power steering pipes, bottom rad hose, this bottom side intercooler hose, then we'll work to the top. So let's go and adjust the camera and let's go do that. So here we have stock 330D power steering pipes. You can get away with using 320D pipes, but we're going to use both these pipes. First things first, right, this usually runs through a power steering cooler, but we're not going to use that, so we're going to Stanley this off as close to this fitting as we can, and we've got to join this up the top to the bottle. So this part's going to come later. This is another part you can get off the e36, it's just another part that goes to the cooler sort of thing. It'll just give you something metal for this pipe to slide onto and clamp to later. Also, what I will say is please do not use this fitting. See, that has a one-way valve in it. This tends to fail, and it's a power steering pump killer and a steering rack killer. If this fails, the pump gets really hot. You see there's a valve in there, but the e36 one does not have this. I don't know why BMW made this, because let's see how that's hollow inside there, and this one has a valve. Well, that one, if you only have this one, you can like kind of chap this out of there so it's hollow, but for now just fling that to fuck, because it's just going to cause hassle. So for right now, take a fresh Stanley, and I'm just going to cut this off as close to the flange as I can get, and we'll take care of that part up there. I have new copper washers on the bolts and everything. Try to do everything right. And so that takes care of that. So later that's going to slide into there, and we're going to clamp that up. That's going to go to the power steering bottle for the flow in, and then this is the high pressure side. And also make sure you have the rubber O-ring on this. There's a rubber O-ring on here which should go into the power steering pump. If you don't have one, put one in it. But also, when you actually remove the engine from the car, sometimes when you take this pipe away, this O-ring stays inside the pump. So always check inside the pump before you go putting an O-ring on here. Sometimes you just need to fish it out of the pump. So I'm going to put these bottom ones on loosely. I'm going to fix it to the steering rack, and then we're going to move on to do the bottom rad hose. So I'm going to spin the camera now so we can go and work on the car. So what I'll do, I'll just feed these pipes up that way, and I'll put my 10mm bolt in the actual steering rack just to hold the pipes while I work. I usually see when I'm doing like a e36 swap, and I've had like an e39 engine and I don't have the right power steering pipes to match going into a 3 series. E46 ones also fit. Depending on which pump you have, there's only like a set of 3 litre pipes won't fit onto a 36, because unless you have the power steering pump which has the banjo coming out the bottom of the power steering pump. Right. So like I say, I'm just going to fit these loosely. Got to get them in their holes, finger tight, not even finger tight, just so they can still spin about or move about. I just dropped a washer already. Good start, good start. There's one started. There's one washer away again. Right, that's them both finger tight. So moving on, we're going to do this bottom water hose. While we're here, before we do this bottom intercooler pipe. So if you can see here, we need to go from here to here. So I'll show you what I've got. This is the factory pipe from an e36, right? So by the time you clip that on there, like so, it's too long, right? So we're either going to have to trim it or try and get something else to work. Now I did have something here, right? It's not going to work, but just to show you, it could be done if you can find a pipe like this, if you know what I mean. So this, right, that fits on there without stepping it down. See the BMW pipe is this size here, but it's skinnier in the middle. So but that almost fits in there. If you could get like a J pipe which actually tails back and trim it to suit, you would get that to work. However, I don't think we're going to get that to work. I don't think I have an alloy pipe that's going to fit inside this for to make a join on it. And the alloy pipe would have to have a bend. So that means that we're going to have to trim this one. We're going to have to trim this one, but you need to trim it somewhere. It's going to have to be trimmed here somewhere and then joint here somewhere because you need the bit where it kicks back the way, if you notice the shape of it. But we need both these ends to stay the same because it's 26 mil. 26 mil here, but it's 24 in the middle, which is it's stupid, but whatever. So I'm actually going to go and have a quick check and see if I have a bit of alloy pipe for this silicon hose, and if not, we'll just make a cut on this hose and connect it up, and then we'll do the intercooler pipe. I'm going to stop this part of the video right now for 2 seconds. Right, so it turns out I didn't have a bit of pipe that fitted inside that alloy part, right? So what I've basically done, I've cut an inch out of this pipe. I've slid a bit of alloy pipe in there which needs jubileed up. So I have alloy pipe here, which is 24 mil. There's obviously you can see what's in there. There's like 2 inches. It's in this side like an inch, and it's just a wee bit, a little more than an inch there. It's on there nice. I'm not going to jubilee it up right now because I'm going to change radiators. This was just a 1.8 radiator right now for a mock-up. I do have a proper 2.5 TDS rad. Obviously it's a TDS rad that we use, but I was just doing a mock-up with a 1.8 rad right now. So I'm happy with that. So it's going to be a jubilee there, a jubilee there, and a jubilee there once I change the rad. And what I also like to do is when this pipe is back off, I like to run a little bit of silicone around the rubber seal before I put it on, because I've had e36s leaking before. Right, so moving on, we've got to do this bottom boost pipe while we're here as well. And this can just get put on an intercooler and fixed up properly right now. So as you can see here, this is an old intercooler pipe, right, but I was just mocking stuff up. So this pipe here, you get to manipulate it. It spins round. You can actually spin it to where it works for you. So what I did, I kind of mocked up with everything for everything that I needed. So I've bought 4 or 5 of these 57 mil in a diameter boost pipes, just so they're all the same colour. I didn't want to mix colours up or anything like that. So I came to the conclusion that what I was going to use was I have this boost pipe, which I've also painted because it's been lying for a while and it was all rubbish looking. So this boost pipe is going to take us, I can't remember which way I had it. I'm sure it's this boost pipe as well. I need to put my, let me put my new 90 on first. So slip that on there. Make sure it's straight and all the way on. As you see, I think that's the wrong pipe that I used there. I'm sure it's this pipe over here. So I have a pipe from so this one is off a 530D. This is the boost pipe. Obviously it goes along the top of the engine because it's not a 204, it's a 184. That's off of that, and the other one's basically the same but from e53. So it was two pipes I already had. So how did I have this going again? Yes, something like that. I'll slip him in here. And then twist it. So next to move this torch. I'll pull this back off a second. Put that back on. Twist him to here. And we'll just move back a bit so we can see here. So I think I still need to manipulate a little bit. What I also done was I bought a, in fact there's no bad by the time it goes on. I did buy, was this a 90, but I did buy a 135, which I'll just check right now. I just bought it just in case it was going to do better for me. I'd rather have too many pipes than not enough. Obviously I have to wait on the postman coming with all this stuff, so better having too much than not enough, and I always do these things anyway, so these pipes always get you. So here I have a 135 and it looks like a 135 is going to do this better. So again, glad I bought that. So that takes care of that intercooler pipe. What I'll do later, I'll obviously take it off and put all the clamps on it. But as I said before, I have a bag of these proper clamps. Like as in not Jubilees, like actual boost clamps. I'd rather use these. I'd rather use these than use Jubilees. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4 for this side, and then we'll start taking care of the next side. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. What I'll do is when the radiator comes off, I'll just pull the boost pipe off as well, and I'll clamp where it's all sitting. And give anything a tweak, but that's one side done, like I said. Sometimes the boost pipe can be the hardest part because the boost pipes that come with a 330 diesel are not really going to work with a e36, and especially if you've changed the intercooler, like I've changed the intercooler. You don't really want to run the intercooler that comes with a 330D anyway, because it has these stupid push fit boost pipes, which they're just prone to fail. So I'm going to put a 90 on this side. And then that's where this pipe comes in. This pipe was just the right shape here. This pipe was just the right shape here for it to take me up to here. That takes me up to there. However, I'm not sure if I'm going to come in here with a cutting disc and just cut this little bit off. I don't want my pipes rattling off anything. Again, there's another wee tab under here, so I think I might go and take care of that right now. Take that back off. Oh, I scratched my pipes, I just painted them, so I've got to run the grinder through this, cut that off, and I'm going to take the face off of this so it doesn't hit my pipe. So I'll just stop filming for that part, and I'm going to take care of these bits, and we'll come back and I'll bring the car down, we'll start doing the top stuff. We've got top rad hose to do, I've got top boost pipe to do, which I have all the pipe work for. We're just going to see how it goes as we go along, basically. Right, I'll be back in 2 seconds. Right, so I trimmed this bracket on the chassis. I trimmed this back so it was flush, just so my pipe wasn't going to hit anything. So I have my pipe on, I've capped the top end because we might need to cut stuff up there, so it's going to stop stuff going into the intercooler. So I'm going to bring the car down and we're going to work on the top pipe, the top water hose, and then the water bottle. And then we just have power steering pipes to do, and that's it, pretty much done, except just a general tidy up. Put my lights in, put the bumper on. Get the coolant blade up, get the power steering blade up and test drive it. Then go wash the engine bay. Job's not done properly unless you wash the engine bay. Right, here's where we're at. You see boost pipe comes up here. One other thing I had to buy was, this is a long 90. This is I'm sure it's 150mm or something both ways, where a normal 90 just comes as like, I'm sure they're short, I'm sure they're like 70 or 90mm. So I bought a long one because if you use a short one here, I'll show you. If you use a short 90 up at that part there, right, by the time that's on here, you're instantly fouling the belt. So you can't have a short 90 for there. Also, you notice this is a 204, right? So this should be a clip-on boost hose. I do not like these clip-on hoses, so I always just change it for one that's a slip-on. Oh, she's in there, good. Come on. So we straight away start with the long one. Then you can decide how much you put it on or how much you don't put it on. Either way it's going to seal, but you want some clearance from the pulley. Probably a good 10mm. Bearing in mind as well, when you bring your water bottle into the equation, there is a pipe to go in past here and into here. So you need to be careful about how you route stuff. So this is how we sit right now. Another thing, there's my alloy pipe, and we'll just join this right now. I'll just join this right now and then we'll put it out of the way and work around it. This is going to join what we've cut out of the last hose. Obviously the last hose was a push fit connector, we don't want that. Again later, just 2 Jubilees, top water pipe done. Just make sure you use this bit, so if you, obviously this is a TVS chassis, so just make sure that you use this to stop it chafing off any chassis. Power steering pipe ready to go straight in there. We just need to put the other pipe on, bridge that up. For right now I'm going to take this pipe off and put it out my way so I can work around about other stuff. So I'm just going to go, I'll double check that there is not already a rubber O-ring in the pump, which there's not. I'm just going to go in and start this with fingers. And I'll just leave it loose so you can rotate it to wherever you've got to need it. And then here's the other side of the pipe here that you can see, and we'll just grab this pipe. I'm just going to grab this pipe, put it here, and see how long you need this other piece of pipe, or just join them up. And then you need a Jubilee for that, and that sorts that. So there's a Jubilee for there and a Jubilee for here. and that's that part done. So I can't see that getting in my way, so right now I'll leave that till the end. So right now we want to work on this part. Obviously you need to watch your water pipe, so you want to come under the water pipe down to here, but we also have a water pipe coming off the bottle, which I'll show you. I might just take the water pipe off the bottle for now, because just to show you how a TDS bottle should sit versus how we need it to sit. We need it to sit twisted a little. I'll show you why right now. Right, so this TDS bottle should sit here like so. Okay, but you see the problem with that? That water pipe comes out and instantly wants to push against this. And even if we put, take this off again now. Even if we put that there, there's no chance there's missing that. Right, so what I did before was take the bottle off. Now this part here, which screws to the chassis, you can rotate that. So I'm pretty sure what I did last time, I opened up like a hole here so we could sit it on the edge of this. You get to bolt it on later, and that instantly going to face the hose away from the pulley. So I got to go ahead and do that. So where was I? Well, as you can see, I have the bracket, because this is a TDS chassis. I actually have the bracket, right? If you don't have the bracket and you're putting in a petrol car, that's fine. You're not going to have this bracket in the way, so you can basically hook it on, manipulate it so it's going to pass, and then I just drill a hole through there, through the inner wing, and just bolt it right there. Doesn't matter that it sits at a level, that's still the lowest point, so it's still going to flow water. So if I look at where I bolted before, yeah, so I'm going to take the cutter to this line here, and my bolt hole is going to go pretty much in this line. So if I can find my cutter, got a flap disc here, that'll do. Right, so I've just run a flap disc right in there and flapped it back a bit, right, so let's see where that takes us. If it wants to sit like that. I think because I've done that, I need to take a bit off the back as well, so it can actually lie back, because it's not on the right level of the chassis. This is the wee bits that's going to, they're going to be footering around a bit, but the thing is, you want that to aim this way, away from the pulley, because right now that's going to cause you issues straight away. Yeah, that's more like it. So I think I just need to go and flap a bit of the back of this. If I take this part off, we'll be fine. So let me just put that on there, and I'll take my flapper along the back of this just to take that edge off the back. So I've just took the backbone off of this. If you can see how that is. Oh, see this? Basically just took that off on this side so it's flush. Let's try again. That's the one. That's the one. So all I'll do now, I don't say it's going to go anywhere, but I will. There is a drill hole here from the last engine that I had. Look, I have a drill hole in there. I don't know if you can see it. Yes. So I'll drill up the way through this once this bottle is sitting in place, and that'll nut and bolt me in there, just to be sure the bottle doesn't move again. and that means we still fit to there with this top pipe. Our pipe's just got to come through there, which there's no issue with that coming through there because I've done this before and it does fit. Between that we just need to get the boost pipe under there and then put this pipe onto here. I do still have the e36 one along with this one. I'll show the e36 one had two clip-on ends, but again I need to watch that the size of the hose because the hose steps up at this side, so I might get to trim this down and re-put this clamp here where it needs to be. So I'll go and mess about with that the new and get it to a place I want it to be, and I'll come back and show you exactly what I've done, so we're not wasting any time again, guys. Yeah. Okay, so we're back here, right? I took the time to fit my lights and I'm glad I did because I had one of these bolts facing like this way and it was going to foul my lights, so I've spun that round. I have all my front end on. What I did do, obviously I used this pipe here, but this pipe was all crusty, so out of that brand new intercooler pipe kit I got, I made an identical pipe for down there, so we've done that. So the total pipes that we have used I have used 3 short 57mm inner diameter 90s, 1 long 90 and the one down there at the exhaust side is a 135 and a total of 10 clamps. So I'm pretty much ready to put my radiator in. I'm happy with it. What I did do was put my fan on first because if the radiator was in the fan wouldn't go on. So what I've done here, I've still left this loose, right, because I'm going to show you this part. My bottle is also bolted in, I have it bolted in so it's secure. I'll show you what I've done with my pipe here though. Right, so this pipe, so what I've done, I've left this all loose so I can manipulate this, right? So if I take this off, right, what I'm going to do with this pipe, if you see, look at the space I have here, right? So if I spin that pipe clockwise, it takes it closer to the belt. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to spin it anti-clockwise, then tighten it so it's pushing against the boost hose, but making enough space from the belt. So that's tight, that's me finished with that. From here, I'm actually just going to put this on, put my radiator in, see how much space I've got when my radiator goes in the hole, and then tighten everything up. If anything, this boost pipe is going to move out the way, not in the way, so I have these 3 still to tighten up. And just the rad hoses to do. Again, rad hoses already just to bolt up. So let me just slot my rad in. Right, rad is in. Just have to wiggle my bottom hose on. Top hose on. Just needs clamped and I just need to get a Jubilee for that. And he'll go in there when I get a Jubilee. That's fine. So I still have space to come out the way with this. So I'm leaving a gap between the radiator and the pipe so the pipe doesn't hit it. So I could basically just go ahead and tighten these up. And that's me good at that. Put my engine cover on. I've just bled up the power steering. I just need to put my front covers on, put some coolant in it and bleed it up. So I've got to go ahead and do that. I'll probably just time lapse this bit to make it quick. So right now we just have the car bleeding up. I've just got idling, just letting it do its own thing. Inside the heaters are on hot and on windscreen, on full blast. So I'm just going to let it bleed up. and I'm going to fasten up my front bumper because I've still got to put the bolts in for the front bumper. So I'm going to go ahead and do that while it bleeds itself. Done. Let's see how the temp's getting on. So I'm basically just going to let it bleed up. When it's bled, I'll take this off so you can hear the actual sound of the car, not through the microphone. I'll give you the raw sound of it. I still need to make an exhaust, and I still need to hang the fuel pump and the fuel filter that's underneath the car, but I'm not going to keep you guys here for that, because if you're doing this job, you already have like the back 3/4 of your exhaust. Now, I sold the setup that used to be in this car, so the full exhaust is away, so I'm going to be making stuff from scratch, starting with this stainless downpipe and going all the way back. But I need to see what pipe I've got lying about, and I need to see if I need to order pipe. And this is obviously I'm going to have to wait again, but the best part is done. The last time I need to push it on the ramp because it actually drives now. It will drive now. Gears feel good. Clutch feels good. We'll just go inside the car quickly while it's bleeding up. So you see that there. Gear shifter. Now we're underneath and I was saying keep it central. So central means it looking like it's in neutral. So there's 3, there's 4. If you leave your linkage too long, if your linkage is too long underneath, it makes it look like you're in 3rd gear and you're in neutral. So six in reverse. And and I have parking sensors this time because I actually wired them up. The temp's getting there. I do still have to, my pedal bracket is fitted to the floor, but I do still have to tidy stuff up. But while I was in here, my heating, obviously this cable works by wires, it's not actually a digital one, so when I put my heating on Windows it actually splits to everything, so one of the cables must be off, so I'm going to take the centre console out and fix that, but we've covered everything that we need to cover for you guys anyway, so it's just a case of letting it bleed up for me and then letting you guys hear it. So I'm going to just end this part of the video here and I'll come back once it's fully bled and I'll let you hear the full thing gone. Right guys, well that's me all bled up. Thanks very much for watching. Anybody who's got any questions or that, just drop questions in the comments. I get notifications for YouTube. I don't really do notifications for a lot of stuff, my phone really does my head in sometimes, but I do reply to people on YouTube fairly fast. Yeah, so if this video was helpful to you, please like, share, subscribe. Any questions you have, any queries, just put them in the comments. That's me bled up, so I'll let you guys hear it without the small mic in basically. Obviously it still needs an exhaust, but well, I cannot wait to drive the thing, man. This car's been let off the road for maybe 2 years since I sold the m57, the version 1, the D29, since I sold that to a friend, so dying to drive it. However, it does have a map on it, it is a crazy map, but I need to get speed signal deleted on it, so right now it's only got rep to 3,500 RPM or something. However, it will still be fast. The ECU from this come from an X5 that I bought, and I took my mate along the road in it and he was like, what do you want me to get in this for? And I was like, trust me mate, get in. He was like, Jesus, he said, how's an X5? How can an X5 be this fast, this class? So I'm going to use it on that map right now. I'm going to get somebody just to put a hard cut limiter on it and speed signal delete the ECU and see what that one's like before I send my own ECU away to like Dark Side Developments or something. I really want a good map like Dark Side Developments or something. So again, that's me, I'm pretty much finished here. I'm going to put the car up, I'm going to start making the exhaust. I've got a little bracket to make for it to hold up the fuel pump and the fuel filter, and that's me done. I'll give it a service and I'll get MOT'd. It doesn't need nothing, it flew past its last MOT and stuff like that, so I'm fairly confident it won't need a thing. So again guys, thanks very much for watching. This is like the end of part 2, this is everything you need to know for to get this done. Like I say, any questions, please ask. But yeah, that's me going to end the video here guys, so thanks. If you made it to the end, thanks very much. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video guys. Take it easy.